Good morning, everybody. I am what David is calling Jumpsuit Jen today.
Jumpsuit Jen, yes.
And this is...
Decorator Dave? I don't know.
Decorator Dave, I love it. Jumpsuit Jen and Decorator Dave.
I don't know that goes with my...
Yeah, with your clothes.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to go with what you're doing today. Yeah. So we are back with another episode here on the David Christopher's channel where we hope to inspire, encourage you to use your creativity and to just live a joyful life.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
So the wreath today, David just told me off camera, is called Old Money Wreath. Old Money Wreath.
Old Money Christmas Wreath.
Old Money Christmas. So some of our team, back when we were planning our themes for 2025,
yeah,
we were working on one and it looked like what one of our team members, I think it was like Summer maybe, she was like, ooh, this is like Old Money Christmas.
And I'm like, what is that?
We're like, what? What is old money? Well, apparently it's like a trend and people are getting into it where I guess maybe you learn how to dress like you come from a long lineage of wealthy people.
So I think the idea is you want to look like you have money, but not like you...
We're fresh into it.
Yeah, or fresh into money and you're just flashy.
Right.
Because you just acquired this money. So you went out and bought a Lamborghini and like the biggest diamond earrings you could find and like the big watch or whatever.
Well, it makes me think of the shoes. They're like Goose
like,
something, but they're like these shoes that look like they've been worn for 10 years, but they're brand new and they cost like $400.
I think it's like classy, like it's upscale classy. It's not over the top flashy.
I gotcha. Okay, so
that's my theory.
You're going to create an Old Money Christmas wreath, and this is going to be classy, not flashy.
There you go, classy, not flashy,
and not trashy.
Right.
Hopefully.
So it's definitely not be trashy. All right, so I'm going to start with this new ribbon that I really like. This plaid has like red, green, black, little like a gold yellow stripe in it. So in that, it's also got a little bit of a burgundy and some really dark green. But that's going to be really good for our Old Money Christmas. This kind of a very nice diagonal tartan plaid. And we're going to go ahead and instead of like last week where I showed people how to cut it into strips and cheat and make it very easy to add, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to tuck it in and wrap a piece of pine around it. And then we're going to loop it around again. And we're going to go kind of inside, outside. So we want to go kind of to the outside, and then we're going to take that from the outside, go to the inside, take this from the inside, and then we're going to tuck this more toward the outside. Sometimes you can go halfway, so I can go kind of in the middle there and then do one to the outside. So this approach, I'll do the opposite side the wrong way so you can see the difference. So a lot of people take their ribbon and when they want to loop it like this, they just go in and they're going to loop. You know, I've seen this a million times. It's just like straight, almost in a line. So you can choose which way. I'll go ahead and cut this so I can tuck that. I'll tuck that in. You can choose which way you think is more, works better. So this is what I say is appropriate, because you get some ribbon on the outsides of the wreath, you get some ribbon on the insides of the wreath, and then you leave some of the green open even in the center and on the tips. If you do it this way, you just cover the very center line of the wreath and you leave everything on the outside and the inside open. So I don't like to do it that way, so we'll start this part over and we'll continue with our inside-outside approach. If you're looking for the correct way to do things, I recommend you attempt to do it this way.
This is sort of similar to when you're putting ribbon on a tree.
It is.
Obviously it's a different shape, but it's that same method where you don't just put it, well, I say you don't just put it straight down. Some people do, but...
You do, yeah. I see that a lot too, and that really drives us nuts when you see people do that. Or they look like they took the roll of ribbon and they just ran around the tree several times. That one gets to me also.
Not many things, I think, annoy you more than ribbon problems. You're a ribbon guy.
Yeah, I mean,
I think a lot of other things you can be like, it's okay. Not how I do it, but it's okay. But ribbon really...
Ribbon will get to you, yeah.
That's your pet peeve.
So... And I've been known to just go like in the... into a hotel or somewhere and start adjusting things for them. And I've got just a little bit left up here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and cut that because I cut it too early and to kind of show that point. And now we've got our ribbon placed in our wreath. You know, we've got it very evenly distributed here. So, and keep in mind that one great thing about ribbon that you really need to pay attention to is if you buy really good quality ribbon. So this ribbon is a faux Dupioni plaid on the front. It's gold lame on the back, and it has a really stiff wire in it. So you can make this do all kinds of things that you want it to. So if you want to curl it and have it stay curled, it will stay curled. If you want to do whatever with it, that's really important when you're working with ribbon. If you're a beginner especially, it makes it a lot easier to work with that very thick, stiff ribbon that will allow you to do anything you want with it. Some of the softer ribbons and the lighter wire you can use, but they're going to be more difficult to get this really, you know, pronounced looping shape out of them. Just beware of that. So now we're going to move on to our garland. I think last week we used a leaf garland, and this week we're going to use a leaf garland as well, but this one has balls and holly on it. So this one we designed specifically to look like holly berries, and it's got just a little bit of like a champagne gold, just a little bit on the berries there. So it's going to work really well for this Old Money Christmas. It's got this really dark velvet holly leaf, and on top of that it's got a lighter green, so it makes the holly leaf show up on top of the wreath, on top of the foliage that we already have, but it's not super bright and it's not like solid glitter, so that's going to help with our color combination here. And we're just going to shape this out a little bit. You don't want it to be flat. You definitely want it to appear more like this. We're going to bend every leaf just a little bit. We're going to bend the stem that holds the leaves out, and then you can pull the little red balls that are berries up.
Can you tell everybody where they can find these items you're using today?
I think on davidchristofers.com they have some of these items. In fact, all of these items are available on davidchristofers.com. We do sell wholesale and retail, so you can go there and click, you know, wholesale if you happen to have a store and a business and you would like to buy some of these products, or if you just really enjoy decorating, you can go to the website as well. Now we're gonna go with this glittered bay leaf spray, and I know this is glittered, but this is a toned down red. This is almost a burgundy. It's not quite burgundy. It may be called burgundy. It is called burgundy. Because it's our darker red, I think we called it burgundy, but it actually is kind of like an oxblood color, like a, I don't know, just a deeper red. It's not quite in that burgundy vein, but that's going to work really well with our colors here because we want to add some of that darker color because it's classy, not trashy, flashy.
Flashy, I think. What do you consider flashy if this is not flashy, since it's sparkly?
Well, it has some sparkle to it, but it's not wildly like
elaborate,
crazy.
I see.
So you get, I mean, it's Christmas, a little bit of glitter is going to be okay, but we're also toning that down with the plaid, and we've just got like touches of glitter here and there, and we're going to use this just to reinforce some of that classy glitter from the darker reds. And it's going to tone down the red in it, and toning down the red in it is really going to make it a little more classy because it's not so bright.
Okay.
But we want a little bit of that. So I am going to just pull these straight out of this stem. If you pull pretty briskly, you can get those out. So you really want to hold the stem, you know, farther down because there's a little wire inside the stem that's glued in there, but if you pull pretty hard, you can get that out. And then I'm left with a little piece of a plastic stem that's a lot easier to work with, and I don't even have to cut anything.
No cutting.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that I think people need more information on, is sometimes they may think an item is damaged, and obviously we don't want to ship people things that don't arrive the way they look on the website 100%, but there's so many of these things that if you do happen upon something that maybe you've had it for a while and it's fallen apart a little bit, most of these things can be repurposed or cut apart, like you said, pulled apart. It's not ruined 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, we, you know, if we've used something in a tree for a while and, you know, it's seen better days because it's been in a tree, you know, out and in for, you know, 9 years, then we may repurpose it and use it in a wreath as opposed to just trashing it. It's going to be something that we will use for something else most of the time. We try to do that.
I think the first time I realized that people had issues not understanding, because, you know, we take a lot of things for granted because we see this, and David's been doing this for so many years, but years and years ago, we were selling some cotton pieces online, like, what would you call them, stems that had multiple cotton balls on the end, or bulbs, and someone received them, and they received them flat and not spread out, and they reported them as damaged.
Yeah, so I got an example right here actually.
Yeah, sure.
So this is a magnolia stem. It's actually not a cheap magnolia stem, and it ships like this. It actually probably ships like this because, you know, that's much smaller than, you don't want a box that's 4 feet long most of the time for one stem. But these have wire in them, and they're shipped like this because it's flat, saves money on shipping as much as possible. And you have to take them and actually curl, you just bend the magnolia back. This is a beautiful magnolia stem. Like I said, it's not a cheap stem. This is a really nice one, heavy wire in the leaves and the branch. But people might receive it like this and think it doesn't look like the picture. Well, that's because it really, it won't arrive like this. Even if we shaped the items and shipped them like this, like they would get crushed in the box.
Yeah.
So it's actually much safer to ship them flat and let you pull them out. And because if you ship them like this, they're gonna get wadded and they're gonna wrinkle the leaves. And you'd really rather have those flat so that when you get them, you can shape them appropriately to make them look more like real magnolia leaves that are not wrinkled like a fabric. So you end up with, you know, a beautiful magnolia stem. You just actually have to work with it a little bit. It doesn't take much. You just have to remember that, you know, these things have to be bent a little bit. Now we're going to start adding some of our ornaments. We've got our 5.5 inch faux mercury glass. So these are plastic, but they are transparent. You can, especially with light behind them, like on a tree. Darker colors, not as much, but silvers and golds and some of the other colors you can easily see through. They do pick up more of the light, but you get that mercury finish out of them, and they're more reflective, but they don't have glitter on them. So we're going back to that kind of old money style. And we talked a little bit last week. I'll remind everybody that these caps are plastic mold. So they stick on there pretty well. But if you're putting them in a wreath, I recommend you add a little bit of glue. And I'm using my glue pan over here, you may not can see. But just a little bit of glue on that ridge and then pop that back on. Peel my glue off of the ornament. It didn't stick to those little strings on the ornament sometimes. Don't want those. So that's going to stay really well. That's not going to come off. And then we've got a couple options of how we place this inner wreath. So we can glue this straight in the wreath. That's not the recommended version for me. You can use the string, but to make sure it's extremely secure, I'm going to use a little piece of wire, just some floral wire, 24, 22 gauge, something around that. And we're going to go around, we're going to try and go around the frame of the wreath. That's the most secure place to do that. So I know it's hard to see. Let me turn this back around. Here's the frame of the wreath. You can see this green metal bar right here. There's actually 3 of those. And I've got my wire twisted around that particular piece, and that's going to ensure that this goes nowhere. So I've added all of my mercury balls in. 3 of those. I don't have a 4th one here because, again, we're putting our bow here. And you might notice that these are not symmetrical. I don't want them symmetrical. I don't want them exactly even because that bothers me for some reason. So I've got this one just slightly lower than this one, which will work out in the end. Get some stems out of the floor. So I'm going to be adding these berry balls that I really like. I think they're called gooseberry balls. Anyway, they do have these little plastic caps in some of the berries. I like that because it adds a little realism to them. These are a little not bright red also. They're kind of a deeper red. And instead of using the string that comes with them, I'll show you kind of a different trick to use with these. I grabbed these little stems out of the floor, and these are just a flat piece of wire, but it's a pretty stiff wire. But I can bend those into a little, like a U shape, which will be beneficial because basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip this berry ball in a little bit of glue. I don't need a ton of glue. It's a foam berry ball. So we're gonna stick this in, and then I'm gonna make sure that I stick that U shape around a piece of pine and into my wreath if I can find. Make sure I go around something. So we've got that one in. We're gonna add 2 more. So we're gonna do the same thing 2 more times. And I actually may do this where you can see it a little better. I'll pull my wreath down and I'm gonna grab a piece of my wire. I'm gonna dip this, see if I can do this maybe where you can see it. Possibly. This will be a little interesting, trying to hold the wreath and...
I'll just let the... Forget me to hold it.
Yeah, right there. Okay. So we're gonna dip our berry ball, a little bit of glue, not a ton, and then I'm gonna put it where I want it. But the important part is to go in from the back with my hook and make sure I go around a piece of pine. Just pick one out, doesn't matter which one, and then push that in to that foam where that glue is, and then it's gonna stay really well. Because the glue will hold okay, but the wire will hold better. So we've got our berry balls added. Now we're going to add our finials because I wanted a little bit different shape in here, and these have just a little bit of that white on them, but they've got black and they've got green, a little bit of like a coppery gold color. So this is the same thing as like the plastic mercury balls, is they've got this cap that doesn't want to come off, and we're going to dip that. Most of your plastic ornaments come like that, and we're just doing that for extra security, just to make 100% sure, because you're all professionals and we want to make sure this never comes apart. That's the goal anyway. And then we're going to go in through our wreath and make sure we find something appropriate to attach this to. The frame of the wreath is the best thing to attach to, but if you can't get to it, just make sure you go around some vinyl. Some of these pine pieces will be fine. Now we're really gonna style this up a little bit. We are gonna add these reflector ornaments, these cat's eye ornaments that are these round balls that have this really deep teal green color. It's mostly green, but it's got just kind of an interesting coloration to it. Red and gold, and that's going to work really well for our Old Money Christmas. So these are actually glass. They're not plastic. There's a couple different ways we can add these in there. There's one way is we can wire these in there, but as you will see, like the hooks come out. So we can do the same thing that we do with the plastic balls, and that's just dip a little bit of the top in the glue, and then we're going to apply our cap back to the top of it and press that down really well. That's going to keep that from coming out. So we can proceed to wire these into the wreath. Now the problem with that is that typically when we wire these into the wreath, they're going to be very the cap usually ends up down. So we don't want to see this part. We want to see the reflector part, which means that we're going to have to do one of two things. We're going to have to use a little bit longer wire, and we're going to have to go up into the wreath a little bit further and then kind of angle it. So you have to be very precise when you're working with things like this, this glass cat's eye ornament, so that you can actually see that reflector from the center. Otherwise, you just end up with, you know, a ball, just that part of the ball. And that's not what we want to see. So we're going to do that to each of these. And then the last thing that I'm going to add, other than my bow, is I'm going to add just a little bit of gold to this, just to kind of round out some of that old money. We want to keep it kind of deep, but we're going to add just a little bit of gold into it. And this metallic gold with just a little bit of sequin on it, I think is really going to work well. And we're just going to cut it up and add it very sparingly, because we don't need like a large piece of gold. So I'm going to cut it down to smaller pieces and add it in. And these are not in stock yet. These won't be in stock until August of this year, 2024. So if you're looking for these online, I think they're out of stock currently, but we will get them back in soon. Just a few weeks away, maybe.
See if we can get a closer look at what you're doing here. Just cutting this apart and adding it in.
That's what I'm doing.
Inside, outside, sort of, still.
I'm just kind of filling in gaps at this point. So anywhere that I feel like I've got like a little too much reds together, I'll add a little bit of this and break it up.
Nice.
So the last thing that we need to do, we've got everything really added to our wreath. It's come together really well. We need to do that bow that we talked about originally. And we're going to leave the streamers, you know, we just want them to come down into this opening. We don't want them to come down way over the opening. So we're going to leave about 12 inches. It also gives us a little room to cut the tails into it. And I usually start off with a couple of slightly smaller loops. Then go into slightly larger loops.
We do have a bow tying playlist. I always like to mention that. If you need more step-by-step, closer in. It's actually, our bow tying video is one of our most popular videos on YouTube.
I didn't know that.
We made it in our living room like 3 years ago.
Oh, my phone's not on silent. My bad.
The Ring doorbell. It's either our kids going outside or a delivery truck.
Probably both. Our kids going outside to see what the delivery truck brought us.
Yes.
And then we're going to get a piece of wire, tighten this as much as humanly possible. So we're going to pinch that together really, really tight, and then twist that. Find my scissors.
In your pocket?
No?
Back pocket? Oh, they're in, over by your glue pan.
Oh, I couldn't see them. They were on the other side. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to give this just a little 12 to 14 inches. So we've got our flat bow, and then we're going to forcefully pull everything into place. So we've got our bow shaped. Was that me? I thought I turned this on silent. Okay. My bad again. So we're going to place this. It's a work text, if that makes anybody feel better.
I'm sure.
One of the employees is texting me about a customer needing something. So we're going to wire this on. I lost my wire. Where is it? There it is. Okay. So we're just going around the frame again, twisting this on.
frame is your friend.
The frame is your friend. And like I said, remember about the quality of the ribbon that you buy. It really makes a difference because you can shape this however you want to. And then we're going to fold these over.
I don't think we have any, but if we had some little, if you had some little gold bells to go on the ribbon,
Yeah.
on the bow, that would be really cute. And to me, old money-ish. I'll go with it.
So great thing about this wired ribbon, we can really just make it do what we want it to. We're going to give it a little bend because we want it to look like it's waving in the wind when we all know that we're inside and it's not waving at all. But we don't want it to be like perfectly straight. So we're just going to give it a little curve here and there, allow it to have some motion and be a little more fluid. And there you go. We got our Old Money Christmas wreath done.
Yay! And there you have it. That's it. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe, and comment and let us know if this is something that you would like to use as part of your Christmas themes, or what other ideas that you have for this Christmas and what colors you're going to be looking for, because more than likely we have those coming in.
We have all colors coming in.
So check the description. You're going to see a link for everything used in today's video. You're going to see a link to all of the items on our website. And then you'll see some more helpful, hopefully, information there that will help you along in your creative journey. Till next time.